Cooper, Director Cooper in front of us, so you can go ahead. I'll turn it over to you.
Good evening. With me is Karen Carver, our business manager, and Mike Safley, our deputy director. I would like to say that it is very much an honor to work with the team in Metro Legal. I do not think you will find a better group of lawyers anywhere, so it is a real honor and privilege to work with them. Our proposed budget is a net increase of $5,900, which is 0.1%. The increase is for contractual increases in our rent at Washington Square and for our Lexus legal research service. And with that, I'll take any questions.
Councilman Cooper.
Thank you. Well, I've always wanted to ask John Cooper a question. Given the discussion yesterday about salaries for Metro lawyers, and again, you were running one of the larger departments in Metro government, what is your starting salary for you lawyers in your department? Is it the same as the Public Defender's Office?
Yes, the salary study, the implementation of the salary study that included lawyers a couple years ago, I believe now the DA and Public Defender and Metro Attorney 1, starting attorneys, are all at the same salary, and that's 61.
So it's really only the DA's office that has a different salary level for starting lawyers that we know of. Certainly your department is at the same level as the Public Defenders.
Yeah, District Attorney is different. I'm sorry. We do supplement some of their salary with local Metro dollars, but the Public Defender and Metro Legal are on the same schedule.
Okay. Well, I just want to thank your department for its expertise and professionalism. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Councilman Glover.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Mr. Cooper, give me an idea in the budget. I don't fully understand the allocation that you've got for outside resources, and I'll give you the example that I'm most familiar with. We'll go back a few years ago on the school board when we had a federal lawsuit, and we kind of farmed some of that business out to a DC firm. How do you determine that? How do you determine if we have enough money in place? Because we're involved in a few federal lawsuits right now. How exactly do we determine who we use, why we use them, and what allocation that we use to pay them? And then are we better off financially to do it that way or to try and keep it in-house?
The vast majority of the work that we do and the litigation is all in-house. It is the only time we retain outside counsel is if it is a specific type of litigation for which additional expertise is needed, or for employees who are sued and there's a conflict of interest where we're required to bring in outside counsel for those employees. I make the determination as to which counsel to use. That's within the purview of the Director of Law. Right now, we are using we've had a firm on retainer for certain telecommunications issues, Washington, D.C. firm, which is helping us with the AT&T Comcast One Touch Make Ready lawsuit, as well as the Kinder Morgan litigation.
And so my assumption would be you reached out to that firm because they obviously they specialize in that arena. And
correct.
Okay, and so rather than trying to pay somebody to learn or whatnot, that's why you utilize them.
Right, yeah, it's more economical in the long run. Okay,
so then the budgetary question I have of you is that there were a few of us who wanted to actually pass a bill here that said, hey, look, if an outside source creates a lawsuit and Metro is on the, they're on the hook for paying all of that, then I think that outside business should be responsible for helping to pay it and help to subsidize that lawsuit. You don't have to give me an answer on camera, but I would like to know what your opinion is on that with regards if we go into something realizing we're going to step into a federal lawsuit and individual companies push us into that arena. I would like to know if there's a way that we can recoup some of the money, because as we stand now, correct me if I'm wrong, as we stand now, I don't think we'll ever recoup any of the money we're spending on this federal lawsuit.
I think it is unlikely that we will recoup our attorney fees.
Okay, so I would just like to know your opinion on if we should, because I'm more than happy to continue pushing this issue. I don't think the taxpayers need to be funding lawsuits that we knew were going to happen, and a private company continues to push us in that arena. Thank you,
I'm happy
Chair.
to have further conversations about that.
Okay, great. Thank you, Vice Chair.
Councilwoman Henderson.
Thank you, Vice Chair Vercher. Director Cooper, I guess my question is related to staffing and kind of your organizational structure. I know we have asked in the council office to understand a little bit better. Structurally, do you have lawyers assigned to departments, and do they stay with that assignment? If it's a larger department, is there one attorney and a secondary attorney, or just from an organizational standpoint, can you kind of speak to how you organize your staff?
We have two primary areas, litigation and client advice. Within those areas are teams of attorneys. You'll have a senior attorney and then one or two junior attorneys. For the client advice side, which is more what you're referring to, they are assigned specific departments. We have one team that handles the public safety, police, fire, sheriff. So yes, they do. They are specific to those departments. Now, there are some times when we need to pull in resources to help on particular matters, but that's how it's structured.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Councilman Coleman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thanks, Mr. Cooper. Not familiar with seeing you in that role over the years we've been together. Got three small questions for you. As it relates to DBE, in terms of your hiring practices on firms outside of your office, can you speak to that? And obviously, I'm asking for the diversity of it all in that question.
Legal resources are professional resources which do not fall within the DBE provisions in the code. Obviously, we certainly want to take that into consideration. Like I said, it is rare that we bring in outside counsel for litigation unless there is a conflict of interest. And in that case, the employees get to choose the attorney. Metro pays for it, but they get to select the attorney of their choosing. So we don't have any control over that.
Well, obviously, you got a salary cap. I mean, you can't use some attorneys in this town that may charge $500 an hour, and some, like myself, at the lower end of the scheme. So I know you have a system with that. But the main question was the DBE question, and I guess I hear you saying that you're going to be committed towards that in the future.
Well, I mean, yes, I mean, we are certainly interested in promoting diversity and utilizing diverse firms.
Right.
With legal resources, legal services, we have to select the firm that is best suited to handle that particular situation. I mean, we have an ethical obligation to make sure that we're providing the best representation possible.
Right. Now, did I understand you to say that in our DBE, it does not have a section in there for professional services? Correct.
I believe that's a separate exclusion in that code provision.
Okay, because Ms. Michelle Lane said that professional services were included in the DBE, and I specifically asked her whether or not that includes legal and some others besides construction, but I'll take that back.
We don't procure legal services through the purchasing agent, is what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
There's a separate code provision for legal services.
Okay. I want to go on another line of question. I want to talk about impact fees, both in planning and school. And this is a subject, and I know this is a budget hearing, but it all has to do with money, because for many of us, we think that we're never going to be able to catch up unless we have some sort of impact fees. And it's my understanding that that our legal department is under the impression that that's not a lawsuit or an avenue that we should take up as a city. For a lot of us all over the city, we think that there should be an attempt to apply some type of impact, both on planning as it relates to school districts as well.
To my knowledge, the legal department has never taken a position on whether impact fees are a good idea. What I can say is that there is a specific statutory scheme under state law for implementing impact fees. And they can only be used, well, first, your county has to qualify, and it's based upon the percentage of growth. And second, it has to be used specifically for education. The funds are limited in their use.
Okay,
but
thank
there
you.
is a mechanism under state law to do that.
Thank you. Okay, and just finally, some of us have gleamed at the idea of putting in our council budget another council attorney, and I've just heard you speak about the junior attorneys that may work on your staff. In that metrics of a pine or us coming up with a third attorney, because I know we have one full-time and one part-time, but if we were to come up with a junior attorney, I guess my question is, would that be something that Metro Legal can support?
That would be up to the council. The council has its separate authority to hire whatever employees or services that it needs. So we would certainly support whatever decision the council makes.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Cooper. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Councilman Coleman. Seeing no others in the queue, thank you, Director Cooper.